Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It was 1 year ago today. 1 year ago on this very day that it took place. January 6th. You can't escape it if you read any newspaper. You can't escape it if you watch TV news. You can't escape it, if you're on social media. It was a year ago. Let's take you back a year. Go over the things that happened. But we're not going to spend all day dwelling on it because I think the average person is over this. You know, we've had 2 years of start-stop with our kids' lives, with our lives, with our businesses, with everything. We've had 2 years of we've had 2 years of chaos that is more so chaos than normal. 2 years of unelected bureaucrats coming in and saying, hey, you know what? You can't keep your place open today. Hey, you know what? Your kids need to work from home today. We've had 2 years of craziness. We've had 2 years of the big lie. We've had a year of the big lie. We've had 2 years of start, stop. And it's just, people are done. They're looking forward. But you can't ignore it. It was a year ago. It took place. It was, for some people on the left, it was a coup. For some people on the right, it was a fight for freedom and to back up the big lie because they felt something was stolen from them. From the average person, you and I, it was embarrassing. It was a black eye on our democracy. The thing that we pride ourselves on, the thing that we absolutely pride ourselves on is the peaceful change of power. That is what makes this and us who we are in so many ways, is the fact that we could say, all right, that person won. He or she won. Here's the power. Here's the power. You can have the power. You beat me. I beat you. Thank you for giving it to me. And it was a stain. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. And for the people on the left, this was not the kind of thing that you make it out to be. For the people on the right, stop trying to say, well, they burned down cities throughout the thing and nobody says anything about it. Enough. It was a bunch of dumbasses and a few people who saw their Yahweh, who, I'll be honest with you, I don't for a second think that he thinks that this thing was stolen. I don't think he does. I don't for a second think that. But they got behind him. And they threw everything they could into the big lie. Their money, their time. In many cases, they lost friends and family and marriages. A few people lost their life. It was ugly. There's no doubt about it. Go back a year. That's what you heard.
I can't tell you what a scary feeling it is. The protesters have made it to the third floor above the Senate chamber.
This was a coup organized by the president against the vice president and against the Congress. It's what the political scientists call a self-coup.
It's a very sad day for our nation. I'm devastated and I'm heartbroken right now. This is not who we are.
The room is somber, is angry, but it also seems that there's been a lot of prayer going on in there and has been a bit of a unifying experience for the members as they've sort of hunkered down together, Republicans and Democrats in this space.
To those who wreaked havoc in our Capitol today, you did not win. Violence never wins. Freedom wins. And this is still the people's house.
You have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. We love you. You're very special. But go home and go home in peace.
Yep. And there it was. And the lies that came out of it from both sides were massive. so-and-so was killed with this, or such and such was killed with this, and so-and-so, they organized this. And there's no doubt, look, do I think everybody there is innocent? No. Some people say, oh, it's just like they just wandered in. No. There were people there that had a belief and a cause that they thought was worth fighting for, and the reality is they were misguided individuals who were idiots, and they perpetrated an attack on our democracy. But if that's the thing that's going to end our democracy, you're a clown if you think that. On the other side of things, for those of you who thought this was an absolute massive coup set up by several massive networks of people, settle down. Settle down. What it was a bunch of misguided individuals who got together from every state, by the way. And some people, they went way too far. And it's their fault. Do I think Trump could have quelled this thing earlier? 100%. He couldn't even he could have absolutely done that. But at the end of the day, your actions are your actions. Period, case closed, end of story. Your actions are your actions. That's it. But the average person today is waking up in places across the country going, hey, school, what are we doing here? Are we going to have school today in Chicago?
As I'm looking at what's happening with our staff, where they're being discouraged from coming to our buildings, we have no choice but to cancel classes tomorrow.
So, no. Chicago once again closed. Oh, geez. What? Yeah. Frustration. Then you've got things like this. Think about this. This year, we are exactly a little over a month away from the Super Bowl. Where's the Super Bowl going to be played? Los Angeles. Is it?
The NFL has reached out to AT&T Stadium in Dallas to see if it could take the Super Bowl if the NFL needs to move the game out of L.A., according to our ABC News affiliate WFAA, citing Dallas Cowboys sources. They say the team and league are engaging in talks about Dallas serving as a backup city for the 2022 Super Bowl should rules here in California become a problem playing the game. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
We're still dealing with this thing. And we're dealing with non-elected bureaucrats and BS. If you think that you look around and you've seen the polls, remember, so many of these polls and so many of these things you see, they're meant to be clickbait. And the funny thing is, inside, if you actually dig into 99% of these articles, none of that stuff on the front that you clicked on matches up to what most people think. But if you think it's nasty last year, try living like this again and again. People are frustrated. I've had more friends on the left that are good friends of mine that are over masking, that are over restrictions, that are over not being able to go this place and that place, that are over their kids being start, stop, maybe tomorrow, maybe not tomorrow, not quite sure what's going to happen, not quite sure what teacher's showing up or not showing up. I've had more, and these are my friends on the left, and I've always said this, people have a breaking point. Los Angeles, they've been waiting. They waited a year to bring fans into this new stadium. They've waited years to see this new stadium. They've spent billions of dollars on all of these infrastructure things. And now they're like, maybe no Super Bowl this year. You go and you look, and Chicago and Los Angeles and San Francisco, and maybe kids shouldn't come to school. Maybe they should, maybe they shouldn't. But is it safe for kids to come to school? It is. How are you sure? Yeah, it is. Bureaucracy. You think if we have another year and another situation like we did last year, where we see things start to close down en masse, I've been telling everybody this. You think for a second with inflation, with no more free money to hand out, with people having more and more restrictions, at some point, if you thought last year in the big lie was something, you watch what happens when you get to a point where everybody's on the same page when it comes to their breaking points. If you're not seeing what's going on in Kazakhstan right now, it's trip. Kazakhstan has had the same party leadership for 30 years. It's like 80, 90% of the leadership comes from one party. Almost overnight, the fuel prices doubled. And in the last several days, the organic movement of trying to get these people out of power has happened. They've taken over airports. They've taken over government buildings. And this is over the cost of fuel. People are getting frustrated and they're getting pissed and angry. What are you doing for inflation? Well, you're still living in a January 6th mode? People are done with that. The average person is. What are you doing to fight inflation? What are you doing when it comes to crime? What are you doing when it comes to schools? What are you doing when it comes to immigration? What are you doing when it comes to the economy? What are you doing, the things that the average person can't be involved with because they're not government officials? What are you doing when it comes to the virus that's going to affect us in a negative way based on zero science and all based on bureaucracy? People are over it. Are people living in January 6th? Yeah, 2022. And they're hoping this year's much better. But based on the politicians that are still there, I don't know if that's going to be true. Not because the year can't be better, just because, well, we get the same thing from the same people over and over again. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. Could you imagine they pulled that thing from L.A.? Could you imagine that? My goodness me. But isn't it great? Like, that's who we are. By the way, for those of you guys who don't know, we are the backup to every Olympics and World Cup. The United States essentially is the backup for everything because we have infrastructure everywhere that overnight we can transform something. I mean, if they said today, hey, we can't do the Olympics in Beijing, we could have places ready within days for the Olympics. That's the infrastructure and power that we have here. Think about that. All right, kids, Rough Greens, amazing. Love it. Give it to my dog every single day. He loves it. My puppies love it. And to see the energy and the excitement, the bounce that they have is amazing. My older dog, Doodle, loves his supplements. It goes right on top of his food. It's called Rough Greens. So vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-369, all this incredible stuff goes sprinkled on top of it. And what it does is it brings their food to life. And what it's done for my older dog especially is it's given him more energy. It's given him better mobility than he's ever had. And over the last 2 years, his life has changed dramatically. And for us, it's given us more time with him. And that's awesome. Try Rough Greens before you buy it. RUFFgreens.com/Chad. roughgreens.com/Chad. It's free. You cover the cost of shipping. They're going to send you a bag for free. Try it out for yourself. Or you can call 833-MY-DOG-77, 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Irreverent? Yeah. So what? It's the Chad Benson Show.
That's us. The Florona has been detected. Do you see the, whether it's January 6th or COVID or what, you need the breaking news with the bright red. It's like breaking news. We're so desensitized to it. Now we have the Florona. So this is the twindemic because everything has to have a name, right? It's like Benifer, those kind of things. So now we have the Florona. That's the flu and the coronavirus combined. Let's go back. So you got the flu over here. I am the flu. And you got the coronavirus. Hello, I'm the Florida virus. And you put them together and you're like, oh my goodness, your virus got my virus. No, your virus got my virus. And then you have the Florona. Doctors have long been concerned, and we found someone who has it. They found this kid apparently in like Houston that has the Florona. And they asked him about it, and he's like, yeah, it's like a mild cold. Alec Zierlein. He had been vaccinated against the coronavirus, but not the flu. He was tested for strep, but results confirmed he had just the former two infections, which he described like a mild cold. So you have Good Morning America, the Washington Post, the New York Times, all paying the Florona. Florona. The Florona's here, baby. What is it? Light symptoms. Tell me about the light symptoms. What are those like? What are the? Did you feel that? Could you walk? Did you die? Did you die? You didn't? Can we trust you? I mean, that's where we are. That's where we are. And on the other side of things, you've got Novak Djokovic, who got a medical exemption, supposedly, to play in the Australian Open, arguably one of the greatest tennis players of all time. And he's not vaccinated. And he flew to Australia, and
all I can say is that the evidence for medical exemption that was provided was found to be insufficient.
And yesterday that blew up. His name is Novak Djokovic, and it was Novaks. We're going to talk about that. Plus Aaron Rodgers, what he said. And I think there's some truth, I don't know about the guy being a bum, into some of the things he said. But think about this, Novak Djokovic. So he goes over there. He's in Australia. That's not a short flight, by the way. It's not a commuter plane. And they told him, you got to go back. Now he's quarantined at a hotel there. So it's crazy. It's crazy. It's the world we live in. It is the world we live in now. Is this the new norm? It should not be the new norm. The new norm should be the old norm, which is getting back with your lives. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It is January 6th. It's a year out. President Biden today talking about that, marking this day. Also going after Trump.
Because his bruised ego matters more to him than our democracy or our Constitution. He can't accept he lost, even though that's what 93 United States senators, his own attorney general, his own vice president, governors and state officials in every battleground state have all said he lost.
And part of the reason they're making a big deal, first of all, the news has nothing. There's not a lot going on, right? There's just, I mean, it's quiet. People aren't paying attention to the Build Back Better bill because they don't think it's going anywhere. They're not paying any attention at this moment in time to the January 6th committee. Coronavirus is falling upon deaf ears, and the Omicron really isn't scaring people the way they thought. You know, they thought that's the second coming of something. So January 6th is a great way to get the people in your group, you know, rabble-rouse them. And at the end of the day, is it going to do anything? No, not really. It isn't. Could there be some lunatics out there that try to do something? Anything is possible. But what are people worried about? What are people, I read yesterday, was it the average person thinks or worries about financial issues 6 times a day. 6 times a day. That's and you know you're talking about people who are really thinking about it. You've got inflation sitting here right now, and it is ugly. And it's not getting any better anytime soon.
There's no question we have inflation. We're going to continue to have inflation. The Fed was slow, and I understand why they were slow, because they wanted to be careful. But now I think you've seen them. Clearly, the Fed is going to raise rates. The Fed is going to normalize the portfolio. It's just how quick or how fast they do it. And look, I think 18 months from now, we'll be sitting with 3% 10-year treasuries. So I think we're going to slow down the inflation, but we definitely have to raise interest rates along the way.
Yeah. And yesterday, that's Steve Mnuchin. Yesterday, along the way, the Feds, they thought, well, we'll raise rates, throughout the year. They're signaling they could raise rates much sooner. People are like, why would they want to raise rates? Well, what they're trying to do is to balance out the supply and demand issues. You make money more expensive, means that people aren't going to be borrowing as much. When people aren't going to be borrowing as much, what you're going to have is the supply side and the demand side hopefully start to even out in some way, shape, or form. So it becomes, not such a crazy situation where you've got people spending tons of money and overspending tons of money on certain things because of the want, which is then causing it to be out of price for everybody else. And so your dollar's not going as far. Yesterday, I was visiting my friends over here at Liberty GMC out here in Arizona. And I was talking to the general manager, Chris Scott. He's become my buddy. He's a good dude. He and I were chatting. And we're talking about what he can get for a car and how much over MSRP people are willing to pay. So manufacturer suggested retail price. He goes, man, I can get whatever I want. And he goes, we don't price gouge, but he goes, I know people that do, but he goes, it's insane. It's insane. The want and the disposable income. The average price for a new car was like $45,000. It's insane. I bought a 2018 Dodge Challenger. I think we're going on 2 years now, right? So it's 2 years ago. So in 2020, and it only had 5,000 miles on. The people that bought it were snowbirds. They drove it to South or North Dakota. Then they drove it back here for the winter. And that was the only time they ever drove it because the gentleman who bought it, he thought he was going to drive it more. It was kind of a bucket list car for him. But then he could no longer drive. And his wife was a taller woman, and she had trouble getting in and out of it. So they never drove the car. And so I've had it, and I drive a long way. But I was telling him yesterday, I said, what could you get for my car right now? He goes, oh, I get 28 for it in a heartbeat. I go, are you serious? He goes, oh, absolutely. And I was like, are you kidding me? He goes, oh, yeah, 100%. Maybe a little bit more. And I'm like, man, I think about selling my car. It's crazy. People are thinking about that. They're thinking about inflation. They're thinking about their kids being in school. When you look towards this midterm this year, which is going to be big, what are they thinking about? Is January 6th going to be sitting on their mind? Or is it going to be the fact that schools are closed once again in some places? Is it going to be the fact that the Omicron is playing a role in the economy potential, but the Omicron may be gone by then? We may be on to yet another variant of some way, shape, or form. They're thinking about their kids in school. They're thinking about inflation. They're thinking about the cost of gas. They're thinking about what education are my kids getting in school if they are going to school, which is going to play a big thing. You know, one of the things with all the January 6th stuff and all of the chaos that came out of it, very few times have I really heard anybody go, why are people so in love with this guy over here? Just as much as why do people hate him so much? Why is he so polarizing and so beloved? Why is he both the Pied Piper and at the same time he's the monster in the town square that everybody wants to get rid of? Nobody really asked the questions I think that need to be asked. Nobody did. I mean, you had a few, but very few people, because they only came at it from one angle. I don't like him. I love him. But it was always about him. But what's the psychology that goes into this? People are going to be frustrated again as we head to midterms. And watching Chicago and the way that Chicago is reacting, the way that they are, you've got Biden, you've got Mayor Lori Lightfoot, you have got the parents now. People are over this. They're sad. And you're looking at something here where, and I was talking yesterday to a couple of people, it's amazing how last year when people weren't in danger of being voted out in certain situations, shutting things down and seizing some power was an okay thing to do. This year, with the chances of things getting voted, you getting voted out in many places, and people looking at you in a much different way because they know they can no longer go on living the way that they were under some bizarre arbitrary rules based on science of the moment, not science that was quote unquote settled. People are pissed. And now you're finding people and you watch, you mark my words. There are going to be places in this country where we still may have some sort of issues with the coronavirus. But people that were shouting last year, stay at home, don't come anywhere, wear a mask 24/7, even inside your home, et cetera, are going to be saying, we can't shut things down. We can't close things down. We've got to get back to work. It's amazing what happens when you get put in a position where you could lose your gig, how you change your tune. How you change your tune. So it's going to be interesting. The children, I went back to it over and over again. I had more people reach out to me and ask me, it was my little brother, did he struggle that much? And I said, let me tell you something about my little brother. I love to, Elijah. He's, but the difference between him and my son and his little brother and the growth of them, even though they're all near the same age, because one got to go to school and one didn't, is huge. It's huge. And we've known about it forever. We've known about the damage it's done. People don't care. That's what people are thinking about. They're looking at crime, right? You've got these crazy DAs across the country who are just like, all right, any crime you commit, unless it's murder or rape, we're not going to put you in jail. The new DA from New York is like, yeah, no, we're not putting you in jail because we don't want to incarcerate people anymore. We don't want to punish people. We want to give people carte blanche. We're essentially handing people the keys to anarchy. Go do what you want to do. Just don't go too far. And don't worry about it. It's like it's the mini purge without actually purging someone. If you want to take something, feel free to take it. We don't think you should be incarcerated. You don't think that's going to come back to bite people in the ass? You would hope so. You would, but God only knows, because the one thing I've learned over and over again is voters are stupid. Voters en masse are stupid. They're uninformed, and they're ill-equipped to make real decisions when push comes to shove. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting year, but I think the economy's stupid. You watch how many Democrats, too, run away from Biden, especially if we're in a situation where inflation is still kicking us in the ass and people are still struggling, and it's a start-stop. You watch how many people are going to go, I'm done. I don't want it. Nope, don't come. Please don't come and campaign for me. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. We'll have more on Novak Djokovic. Also, Aaron Rodgers. He's a surly fellow. For those of you who don't know what that means, he's very prickly. He's just not, he's an odd bird, awkward. I think he's a very close group of friends. But should he be the MVP this year? Or should his vaccination status cause him not to be? Talk about that as well. Chad Benson Show.
If you like talk radio like Chad Benson likes his meals, you've come to the perfect place for takeout.
So imagine this. You have a car and you say to yourself, man, I like my car. I just wish it was different. Right? I love the car, but I don't like the paint. Voila!
In the future, BMW customers may change the color of their car.
Tired of the color of your car? Just change it. BMW revealing e-paint, a color-changing paint technology. Utilizing tech like that in an e-reader, the exterior color of the car could change in an instant.
You choose the clothes you wear, you choose your social media status, and you can choose the color of your car.
If you forget where you park, you could make your entire car blink. It won't be an option anytime soon. It's only in development, and right now only white, black, and gray are possible colors.
How awesome of a time in the world do we live in? You know, for all the chaos and craziness, which, by the way, the media covers because it's great for them. It's like, we live in a time where, and it'll be sooner rather than later, and not anytime soon. You watch in the next couple of years, and now it might not be perfected for 5 years or so, but how cool is that? Oh, man, what happened to your car? Did you get a new car? No, I don't. Oh, you got a paint job? No, I just, I flicked a little light and changed everything over. Oh, are you kidding me? Oh, yeah, it's pretty awesome. That's how we live. That is such first world problems. People are sitting around like, our car can do everything now. Drives by itself. It does everything by itself, short of changing what the car is. And then somebody's like, transforming? Of course. Let's do it. Okay. Oh, my Lord. You got to love that. You do. I love it. I love and our time, by the way, when you look at it, is going to be nothing compared to our kids' time, compared to yesterday, the oldest living World War II vet died. He was 112 years old. He's 41 when he was drafted. He was born in 1899. And I thought to myself, my goodness me, think about the stuff that this guy has seen. Think about this. Lawrence Brooks was his name. Lawrence Brooks, 112 years old. And he's black. So you have a black man that was born in 1899. Predominantly served in the Black 91st Engineering Battalion. He's survived by 5 children, 13 grandchildren, 32 great-grandchildren. This guy saw things from the day he was born, right, to parents who were probably, because he was born in the South, that were probably slaves or coming out of it. And the growth of that to seeing not only a black man become president of the United States, but also watching all of the technology. Think about that from 1899. The things that he saw, including us going to the moon. The moon landing, by the way, happened a long time ago. But those kind of things. And you can only imagine what's going to be in the coming years, decades. It's huge. I have a 3-year-old. Her lifespan will probably be 100+ years. And the technology, who knows by then? Who knows? She may not finish here on Earth. You don't know. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet us. So Novak Djokovic, as they're calling, the great tennis player, is not going to be playing in the Australian Open, which is one of the 4 majors. And he's trying to get all those majors, as many as he possibly can. He was unvaxxed, went to Australia, supposedly on an exemption.
Novak Djokovic is a haughty fellow. He is a dismissive fellow. And as you say, he thought he was going to get away with this, and they'd have to let him in because he would set the record there. Australia had the most severe and longest lockdown of any country. And the Australians looked at this and they said, we're not letting this guy waltz in here to play tennis. Yeah. And meanwhile, we're in quarantine. And I read that a doubles player had said, this smacks of just catering to a famous guy, because if I asked for this exemption, I would not get one.
Well, yeah, when you win 20 Grand Slams, 9 Australian Opens, 86 ATP singles, 37 Masters events, you're probably going to get some exemptions that others don't. And they denied him. So he flew there, and he is in a situation where he's now quarantining in a government-run quarantine hotel facility. It's a weird story. But to fly there, and he thought he had an exemption, and they're like, yeah, it's not really a good one. We thought about it. But I think what happened is people got pissed. Hey, you're letting this guy in when you're not letting anybody else in? And I think they yanked it back, which I also think is crap. If you told the guy he was going to give him an exemption, and you gave it to him, and then he flies there, and you tell him, now we decide now you're not going to get it, that's also crap. But that's how we're dealing with this thing now. Yesterday, Kyrie Irving came back. He's only playing away games for the Nets. He can't even watch his team play or practice with them. Insane world. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
You know, yesterday on the old Twitter, for those of you guys who know what that is, place you can go. And based on several factors, they'll allow some of your posts to stay. But yesterday on Twitter, I just tweeted out a quick little, January 6th. What's it mean to you? Kind of thing, And it's funny because I got a lot of people that, nothing, I don't care, it's over, doesn't matter. A majority. But then you had the zealots, and they'd start fighting with each other. I think that kind of sums up, what this day is for a lot of people. It was a black eye on us. When people say, it's funny, people say, it's a stain on democracy or something like that. Democracy is messy. Democracy is not simple and smooth. But that's what makes it so great. The fact that we have the freedoms that we have. The fact that we're able to have a transition of power that is peaceful. But it wasn't a coup. It wasn't an insurrection. It was 30 or 40 idiots who thought that they were going to, I don't even know what the hell they thought. And then a lot of other people who were upset and disappointed, angry and emotional. It's not a coup. Yes, it was, Chad. It was a coup. Well, whatever. We see it differently. At the end of the day, democracy is not smooth. It's not simple. It's not easy. It's like anything else. It's like a relationship. You have to work for it. You have to work for the relationship. You have to, put work in. And that is democracy. You've got to put work in. It's funny. I tweeted out something this morning. Nothing in this world is worth having or worth doing unless it means effort, pain, and difficulty. Teddy Roosevelt. That's democracy. Having democracy is at times painful. It is difficult. It's about effort. But at the end of the day, what do we get? We get freedoms. We can enjoy this amazing world in ways that others only dream about. It's not simple. It's not easy. There's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be people that want to twist it for their own gain, just like with religion or just like with cults and stuff like that. There are so many things, and they're going to take it and they're going to twist it and they're going to define it in a certain way. And they're going to redefine it. But the reality is democracy didn't die that day. It didn't. If all it takes is a guy that's dressed up like he's an extra from a Viking movie, a dude who looks like Rasputin, and a bunch of weirdos that are living in their mom's basement to destroy democracy, we didn't have democracy. We had a facade that was fake. We had a faux-mocracy. But we're fine. We're still here. What you heard today from Biden was a way to rally the base, to take a slap shot at Trump because your numbers are in the tank, right? So your numbers are in the dumper. You've got a rising COVID wave. You've got a situation where you're seeing big teachers unions starting to close schools in major cities, which are pissing off parents and people, slowing the economy. You've got a nightmare immigration policy that lacks any teeth. You have an economy that is bizarre, good in some areas, fragile in others, non-existent in some. You have foreign policy that's a joke. So it's easy to come out and to rabble-rouse and take a shot at the last guy who gives you energy.
We must be absolutely clear about what is true and what is a lie. And here's the truth. The former President of the United States of America has created and spread a web of lies about the 2020 election.
Yeah. Just like, remember the last election that Trump won? I heard Ann Navarro the other day saying he was an illegitimate president. This is 5 years later. Just get over it. We've moved on. The average person is moved on. They're looking at inflation. They're looking at energy prices. They're looking at the rising cost of everything. They're wondering if their job's going to be here tomorrow, but also thinking to themselves, should I leave my job? Is this the right time to make a career move? Are the people across the street going to offer me more money? But I like where I am. But they're going to offer me more money. Business owners are thinking, what do I have to do to keep people? Because maybe I'm not able to offer them more money. How am I going to? Those are the things that people are thinking about. Those are the things. And then, of course, you've got the continuous battle of Omicron or whatever the hell it is. California talking about hospitalizations.
As of this morning, we were approaching 51,000 individuals in the hospital. That is not just people with COVID. We have 8,000, just over 8,000 cases admitted to the hospital with COVID.
Now, is that with COVID, without COVID? Because you guys came out the other day and you're like, well, we test you when you come in. So you may be here because you were in a car accident, but if you've got COVID, you're a COVID patient. Like, that's the insanity. It's not going anywhere. Things spreading as fast as it possibly can. You've got schools closing down. People are frustrated. I look at it optimistically. 2022 is going to be awesome. If you want it to be. We're going to have some bumps, just like democracy. Some ups, some downs, and some frustration. We got a midterm coming up. What are going to be the big stories? January 6th isn't the big story. It isn't. People aren't going to the ballot box in the midterms going, January 6th. They're going there going, you know what? I gave this group an opportunity, and last year I gave them a pass because we were finding out more and more about this. But here we are now, 24 months into slowing the spread after, the 2-week original thing, and they're still playing grab ass with themselves and stopping and starting and stopping and starting. My kids can't handle it anymore. I'm getting you out of here. We don't know what rates are going to do because they're going to be raising them. Inflation is a big deal. People pay attention. It's always about the economy, stupid.
The Fed has always been very concerned about inflation, and the numbers now overwhelmingly show we have real ongoing inflation. This just isn't a transition issue.
No. So there's a lot. But when I ask people, what are you thinking about? I have yet to people come up to me, except people, it's the same one or two people on Twitter or something like this who are obsessed with the destruction of Trump. Just, they're so obsessed with it. The talk about January 6th. Very few people do. They've moved on. You know why? Because they have lives. I took 2 weeks off and enjoyed every second of hanging out with my daughter and my son, playing golf, seeing my wife. I'm like, hey, how are you? Right? Hanging out with my stepkids and enjoying myself, realizing, this is what matters. January 6th was a dumbass, stupid thing led by a bunch of misguided Muppets who at the end of the day are going to serve some time, who had no real plan other than their Yahweh got his feelings hurt because he lost. And he lost. Biden didn't win. If COVID never happened, Biden doesn't win. But now you've got midterms, and God only knows what that's going to be like. Because between now and November, a lot of stuff can happen. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. We're going to talk to Jim Kennedy bottom of the hour. He's going to look forward to some of the big races that are going to be close. Those tipping point races that potentially could swing it one way or another, especially when it comes to the Senate. Who's vulnerable, who's not? How real is it that, what is it, 90-10 is what Ted Cruz handicapped it, that the House is coming back to Republicans? I think that's a fair assessment. Now, 10% is the unknown of what may happen between now and November, but it's good to look forward, and what are going to be the big issues for the people? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show. Twitter. MyPillow. MyPillow is great. What do? They give you the best stuff. The best. From the MyPillow to Giza Dream Sheets to the towels to the incredible mattress topper, which is 50% off, 40% off the slippers right now. All these deep discounts are available. 60-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty, but you got to go to MyPillow.com, and when you do, you got to use the promo code Benson. It's MyPillow.com. Use that promo code Benson and take advantage of the slippers, which you gave out for Christmas, which everybody loves. You can wear them indoors. You can wear them outdoors. They've got an incredible sole, 3 different cushioning factors, which are amazing, including the MyPillow patented fill and a new cushion factor made of a soft gel out of soybeans, which is awesome, and the mattress topper, which is incredible. Save big right now. Go to MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Podcasts are American as hot dogs, apple pie, football, and sushi.
Oh my goodness. No.
Okay, maybe not sushi. Next time you have a craving for something sweet and tangy, download a Chad Benson Show podcast.
Boy, that is good. It's different because you get a little bit of saltiness. It's so good because it's sweet and salty at the same time.
Get a taste on iTunes, iHeart, or Spotify and binge to your ears' content.
Oh, yeah.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending.
What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending?
Let's talk about what's trending on the old interwebs. Start over in Google today. January 6th. Trending? No. And I'm going to tell you why. It's not anywhere on the big searches. Nowhere. Last 24 hours, the biggest search, winter warm stormings, followed by the Nets and Novak Djokovic. You start going down, Julia Fox, apparently he's Kanye's new girlfriend, Real Madrid, Kazakhstan, Pam and Tommy. It's a new trailer out for their movie about the sex tape. School closing, Chelsea, Tottenham. Hub Arkush, we'll talk about in a bit, was the Associated Press, one of the voters for the MVP who went after Aaron Rodgers. Philadelphia fire that killed 12, including 8 children. But you go down here, and you know what you don't see? Anything about January 6th. So the average person's not, they don't care. You go over to Twitter. What do you see? Well, January 6th is there. But so's the PGA Tour, which starts its season today in full. Australia has fallen. You guys don't know, Australia has a brutal lockdown in a lot of places. And people are waiting to get tested, and in some cases, they're standing in line for hours and having to urinate outside. Oh, my goodness me. Yeah, I know, right? So, where's the January 6th? Again, it goes back to that little swath of people that are obsessed with politics 24/7. I can't be that person. I got other stuff. I find the politics of what took place with Aaron Rodgers interesting. If you guys haven't heard. So, Aaron Rodgers, arguably the reigning MVP, and it's between him right now and Tom Brady. But we know about Aaron Rodgers. He's you know, his whole like, well, I've been immunized. And they were talking about a voter who said for MVP, you know, I won't vote for him. And a lot of a lot of it had to do with the fact that I think he's unvaccinated. Aaron Rodgers spoke up about it because you know what, he's in a point where he says he's giving less blanks.
One of the 50 voters coming out and saying yesterday, quote, "I don't think you can be the biggest jerk in the league and punish your team and your organization and your fan base the way he did and be the MVP. I think he's a bad guy, and I don't think a bad guy can be the MVP at the same time."
I think he's a bum. I think he's an absolute bum. You know, his problem isn't with me being a bad guy or the biggest jerk in the league, because he doesn't know me. His problem is I'm not vaccinated. You know, so if he wants to go on a crusade and come up with an extra letter and make it the most valuable vaccinated player, he's a bum.
Oh, it was brilliant. By the way, is he the most valuable player? Yeah. I think it's between, again, him and Tom Brady. You could argue, I mean, it's tough right now to say that he's not. It is tough to say that he's not. And I look at him and, yeah, so what? He didn't get vaccinated. Well, he hurt his team. Take him off the field for a week. You saw what it's like without him. He's there. You've been in a locker room ever in your life. There's a lot of people you don't get along with. Like I said, he didn't get along with his family. He's a bit prickly. He's kind of an odd bird. But the fact that he comes out, he's like, he's a bum. And I do think this is all based simply off the fact that, because so many of these things are subjective, and also you have the media voting. And if you're not nice to the media, they don't vote you for stuff. They don't. You can go back and look at years of baseball players, pitchers in particular, never got Cy Young votes or any of these other things. And they should have. Why didn't they? Well, because they were mean to the media. Steve Carlton, right? Randy Johnson, a lot of these other guys. Same thing here. But I'll take Aaron Rodgers. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
When you looked at the mob ransacking the Capitol, destroying property, literally defecating in the hallways, rifling through the desks of senators and representatives, hunting down members of Congress. Patriots?
Biden earlier today, on the anniversary of January 6th. How will this day be remembered? It's a great political thing, and the news is enjoying it, but it's fallen on deaf ears for most people because I think most people have moved on from it. They're worried about a lot of other things. Joining us now is Jim Kennedy, the Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. All right, Jim, Happy New Year. And I think for most people at this point in time, they've moved on from this January 6th thing, and they move on to other things because while it was a stain on us and our peaceful, transition of power, the reality is we're still a democracy and we're not going anywhere.
Nope, absolutely, Chad, and Happy New Year to you and all the listeners. Yeah, absolutely. This is for the average American who's worrying about paying higher gas prices because of inflation, or paying higher food bills, or going to the supermarket and finding empty shelves. And they're doing that very quickly because they don't want to get the latest Omicron variant of COVID. Yeah, this day doesn't really mean anything. It's not a day that we're going to look back proudly upon in America, but it's a day that's basically occurred. This is not the first time there's been violence in the Capitol. There were 2 bombings in 1983 and 1971, not to mention the Puerto Rican freedom bombing in the mid 50s. So unfortunately, it's again not a day we're going to look back on, but it moves on. People aren't I know I have no friends that have brought this up other than the political junkies. And if you're an inside Washington guy and a political junkie, you can make hay out of it. But otherwise, it's just another day on the calendar and we move on, and we still have to worry about paying our bills at the end of the day.
2022 is here, midterms this year. Obviously, knife's edge in the Senate for the Democrats. The House those cards have been tumbling, and they seem to be tumbling in a way where they're going to go red. So let's talk about that. First, let's talk about the House. Ted Cruz said it's about a 90% chance that it flips over to the Republicans. You think that's a fair assessment?
I think that's probably accurate. I might give it more closer to 80% because some of these races can be so fluid. You're basically talking 435 House seats are going to be up for election because there they are every 2 years. There's about 14 really key races. About 8 of those are Democrat and 6 of those are currently held by Republicans. Now, remember, because of you've got a second thing added in here. Every state in the union has had all of its districts redrawn due to the 2020 census. Again, this happens every 10 years, and it doesn't obviously happen in the 0 year, the 20 year, because it takes time, and the maps just in California, for example, were just approved just before the end of the year, and California lost a congressional seat. For example, Orange County has gone from 6 to 5 seats, and the County of Los Angeles also lost a seat through consolidation, and the fact they had to draw out 1 seat throughout the entire state. So yeah, it's going to basically be very, very, it's going to be very critical. And a lot of these, you're still going to have seats where people are looking at them and decide, you know what? I may not want to run. Devin Nunes, a Republican in Central Valley of California, has retired, is going to go work for Trump's new social media venture. Well, people are wondering, why is that? Well, when he looked at the new district, it's going to be a little bluer than his district was, and he may not win. So he decided, you know what, here's a good time to jump. And I think there may be others in other states as these maps come out that may decide that they're going to jump too. So you may see some more open seats as it shakes out. So it's going to be a couple more months so we can really get a good handle on exactly how this is going to break down. But right now, yeah, I'd say about 75-80% because of the generic ballots are leaning very solid Republican because of the various problems in the economy. Remember, people tend to vote with their wallets unless there's some other pressing problem out there that affects them.
Talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. We're heading into 2022 as it's arrived us. Midterms are coming up. The Senate, though, it's a razor's edge there right now. And the reality is you've got, in many ways, almost 4 independents. You have Kyrsten Sinema, who's not up for re-election. You have Joe Manchin, who is arguably the most powerful person not named Joe Biden in D.C. And then you've got 2 other independents out there, Bernie and Angus King or whatever. So, but they lean Democrat. And the reality of all of this is this is a huge situation here because I think there is some opportunities here for the Democrats to potentially really see some slippage here and lose their majority or at least the tie that they have right now in the Senate. What are the key races?
Right. There's about six key races. For the Democrat, it's a story of basically blue people trying to win in red-ish states: Arizona, Georgia, Nevada. And for the Republicans, the story is more about retirement. The Republicans have 5 open seats. 5 sitting Republican senators have retired. 2 of those are toss-ups: North Carolina, which is a red turning bluish state, purple currently, and Pennsylvania, which has been kind of back and forth purplish red blue with kind of purple with a red tint recently, though that can change. That's an open seat. And Ron Johnson, Wisconsin, which is a constantly blue to red seat, or blue to red state, going back and forth. So those are going to be the 6 key ones. Don't forget, you've got an open seat in Ohio, which is again purplish turning slightly red for another open seat. And Marco Rubio is going to have a tough battle down in Florida. And there's an outside chance for the New Hampshire Hassan seat, which is bluish, to possibly be one that could be tough depending on who the Republicans run. Republicans have had a hard time. They've had a couple of key people there that have turned down running for the seat, including former Senator Sununu, who they thought was going to be a lock for that seat, decided you didn't want to run for it. So we'll have to see how those things shake out.
What's the big thing? I mean, is obviously coronavirus is going to be an issue. But you got to, and when I tell people, when you look at the midterms, you got to look at the states where the coronavirus, where the unelected bureaucrats are, California, as we've saw with the reelection, the recall, the reality is nothing's really going to change there. So lockdowns aren't going to change anything. Illinois is obviously freaking out because people are looking at this saying we can't lock people down forever because they may flip. What is that going to play into this election this time, besides just the economy, because it also plays in the economy? What is that going to play into certain places? Because here in Arizona, Ducey's not really locked anybody down. They never followed any of the guidelines. And Mark Kelly's seat that is up, that he has taken over for the rest in peace John McCain. That's out there, but there's not been tons of lockdown. So that's not one thing you can gravitate towards and say, wow, man, you Democrats locked this thing down, so we need to get you out of here.
Yeah, each of those states is going to have their own unique things. Like you said, with Arizona and Kelly, you're talking about Arizona. They used to be bright red. That's moved to kind of a purplish color now. The economy, I'm sure, is going to be a big topic for all of these seats. The economy, because again, most people vote with their wallets. Like you talked about the lockdown states, those are all solid blue states, and those are not going to be changing. Even though Alex Padilla here in California, replaced Kamala Harris when she became vice president. That's a solid D. He's got virtually no chance of losing. Same thing in Colorado and in Maryland and Chuck Schumer in New York and Patty Murray in Washington and even Oregon. Those are all solid blue seats and aren't even Republicans probably wouldn't spend a dime in those seats to try to run a Republican against them. Same thing also in the 3 toss-up seats for the Republicans, because again, I think it's going to be the economy is going to be the big push on there. Also, thing is, don't forget, we are 10 months away from election day. Let's not rule out possibilities of wild cards coming up, other odd things that may happen. We don't know what basically never discount the ability of Joe Biden to screw something else up. And that something that may come onto the thing. A lot of the thing that I think is going to be underlying in a lot of these is going to be not so much the lockdowns, but the school situations where the teachers don't want to go back. And again, like we saw in Virginia, the critical race theory question of that coming up and the involvement of parents' involvement in curriculum for their students is going to be something for a lot of the middle class people that's kind of under the radar that may pop up as we go forward in some of these seats.
Yeah, and that's the school issue. I think is going to be huge. All that aside, you've got crime issues, and rising crime, I think, is going to play a part in some of these places. And you've got, several of these, bizarre activist DA. You got the new one, his name Bragg out in New York, yesterday, saying we're just going to decriminalize everything that's not rape or murder. And, you got Chesa Boudin and you got, what's his name? The nut job out in LA. So you have all of these. Yeah. George Gascon. We've got one here in Arizona and Tucson. It's kind of following the same thing. She was, she's somebody who got a ton of money, from a PAC run, by Soros's people. I think crime is definitely going to play a part in this election, because crime is something you also don't win on. And we all know that, I mean, just go ask, Dukakis and a few others.
Absolutely. It's something you said. You've got these rogue DAs out there. Most of those issues are settled though on the local level for many of those. But yeah, it certainly is going to be the rising crime rate is not something in the general attitude towards the Democrats to this theory of, basically we're going to divert people away from the criminal system, because if we just gave them a good hug, they wouldn't have gone out and murdered 12 people or something like that. And we know that's not true. California, we've had the smash and grab problems. It's happened in New York also, and other states too that are being affected by this. And it's just general uneasiness. People, tend to vote with what is facing them most recently. Economy, I'm thinking, is going to be number one. The schools, some crime issues when they're seeing these numbers. And even if it's not in their state, they're going to wonder, well, we could be next. We need to elect somebody who's going to be, against crime, that's going to be for law and order, that doesn't believe in coddling criminals. And, those are the things that kind of affect kind of the mothers, especially because that's a big crime thing for them. They want to make sure their children grow up in a safe area, and the mothers will be voting also because of the school issues we've talked about. So then they can push the husbands into those votes in some cases. But one key out there, we haven't talked about yet is, what is the Trump effect going to be? What about the people that Trump is going to be endorsing? And he's endorsed a lot of people for a lot of different races, including the Senate. And whether those people are going to face backlash because of the anti-Trump feeling throughout the country, or is that going to wane? And is Trump going to be able to basically ride their coattails back if when there comes to be a 2024 presidential election?
I was going to ask you about that because, Youngkin, a lot of people look out there and they saw what took place in Virginia, and it's walking that weird kind of fine line of not getting rid of Trump because you want you want to keep him close by, in a sense, because you want those supporters. But for a lot of people, it's walking that line where you can have that kind of Heisman pose where you keep him somewhat at an arm's length because you don't want it to be toxic. And I think the Democrats are going to face the same thing with Joe. I think they're going to find a lot of people, especially if the economy continues to slow and he continues to wither away in in his presidency. They don't want him. He's an anchor around their neck.
Absolutely. It'd be interesting stat to track this year. Who will make more campaign appearances, Joe Biden or Donald Trump? My guess is probably Donald Trump, because the people that tend to like him are the people that have stuck by him since the start. Whereas I think there's a lot of Democrats that are going to say, you know what, Joe? Don't worry about it. Why don't you go to this other state? I think I can handle it myself here. And as far as Kamala in California, well, she'll probably show up in California because she isn't exactly despised here yet. But I wouldn't expect her to show up in a lot of the key races. I wouldn't expect her to show up in Arizona, maybe in Georgia to play the African-American vote, probably not Nevada, probably not North Carolina, probably not Pennsylvania, except maybe in some of the minority districts areas for the Senate races, they would want to get out the vote campaigns with her. But otherwise, I don't see her showing up a lot, and I don't see Joe Biden showing up a lot. I do see Donald Trump showing up in quite a few of these races. And it'll be interesting to see exactly, are they going to be able to keep him at arm's length? You want his votes, but you don't want the whole Trump circus being attached to you. And that's kind of what the key is going to be, as we move forward in this for the next 10 months.
Love having you on, man. Thanks so much. Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. Follow him at Righty. Jim, thanks so much, brother. We'll talk to you soon, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Chad. Thanks. Have a good one.
Crime. It's going to be a big one, I'm telling you guys, and we've got a story about crime, but it's got a happy ending. Talk about it straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
You stink like fear and white male privilege to me.
I do often out myself verbally as a gender. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm proud to be a gender.
Are you stupid? What? Are you kidding me?
Not a great way to use your white privilege.
Some people get it, some people don't.
You're listening to the Chad Benson Show.
We've got a winner, kids. We've got a winner. We've got actual two winners in last night's Powerball. Each one of them will have a choice. Annuitized $316 million or $225 million cash dollars. 2 tickets sold, one at a 7-Eleven in Sacramento and the other one in Wisconsin. Not bad. It's good money. Imagine that. You're waking up today worth $225 million. $225 million. You went to bed yesterday, and there's probably a good chance you weren't worth $225 million. But you woke up today, and you are. Finally move out of those areas you don't want to be in. Get away from all that stuff. It's good. It's good. Like I said, if I'd have won. You showing up to work? Oh, yeah. Every day. In a better car. I was just telling Phil, they've got a new concept car at CES that is a Cadillac concept car, and it's got it's for the intimate, if you will. You know, it's a love seat on the inside, and it looks awesome. And I think, man, why show me a concept car? That concept's awesome. Why don't you do that? Just saying. Crime is going to be a big issue. And crime can hit anywhere. Case in point, this young little girl.
St. Clair County 911. What's the address of your emergency?
Hello. Some of my toys are missing.
Some of your toys are missing?
Mm-hmm.
Where's your mommy at?
She's in the shower.
What toys are missing, sweetheart?
My Barbie.
Barbies are gone?
Yes. Also, my baby shark toys.
Your baby shark toys are gone, too?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want your baby shark toys gone. But they were gone. Little girl made a phone call to the police talking about her toys being stolen. That's not a good way to use it. Sometimes you can sit back and laugh. She's little. She didn't know how to use it. Most people still don't know how to use 911. So what did they do?
Do you know where they went?
I think the bandits stole them. Will you find them?
Yeah. Can I talk to your mommy?
Yes. Hello?
Hey.
Hey.
I know there's 90 minutes on the phone, but they can still dial 911. It's no problem. We talk to children all the time. But you might want to help her find her Barbies and her baby shark.
Good news, they found him. Bandit did not steal him. Stay away, Bandit. The Barbie Bandit? The Barbie Bandit. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It is a solemn day today, the anniversary of January 6th, 2021. When this happened?
1 year ago today, in this sacred place, democracy was attacked. Simply attacked.
Oh, sacred place? Hallowed ground? It's like, think a lot of yourselves, don't you? I mean, I think of democracy and what we are as a country as more of a spirit thing, if you will. Because if that place burns down, we're still a democracy. Like if it caught fire tomorrow, an electrical fire, and there was so much damage, and they could, we don't disappear. It doesn't. Oh, so God, it burned down. We're not a democracy anymore. These hallowed grounds that have stepped upon and sullied I don't know. I watch the news every once in a great while because they're on the TVs that are in the room, and we don't change any of those because some of the other hosts like to watch them. And I don't get it. I can't get into it. You know, there's nothing, there's just nothing about this, I think, that excites the average person. They're worried about the rising cost of everything and whether or not schools are going to be open and how long inflation's going to be here.
There's no question we have inflation. We're going to continue to have inflation. The Fed was slow, and I understand why they were slow, because they wanted to be careful. But now I think you've seen them. Clearly, the Fed is going to raise rates. The Fed is going to normalize the portfolio. It's just how quick or how fast they do it. And look, I think 18 months from now, we'll be sitting with 3% 10-year treasuries. So I think we're going to slow down the inflation, but we definitely have to raise interest rates along the way.
Yeah, makes money more expensive, means people are going to slow down in their spending. Slowing down in their spending cools off a lot of people purchasing, in particular, big-ticket items, which brings that that supply-demand balance back. But you're trying to tame something. And it's people say they want it to be perfect science, and it's not. It's more of an art, and you're dealing with a lot of different factors, including things that are going on around the globe that you can't control, and all of that has a real world effect on us day to day. January 6th doesn't have a real world effect on me. Do I look at I look at us as a nation. I said it last year. This was a black eye, and this was big in the moment. And it's continued to be that way because people have turned the big lie into an industry to make money off of it. But at the end of the day, I mean, democracy is the sacred thing. Not the hallowed grounds there. Democracy is. And if 25 or 30 ding-dongs, some of them dressed up like the bad version of the Village People that didn't make the cut. They're like, well, should we have a guy that looks like he's Rasputin? Maybe. Somebody get Boney James on the phone. Was it M Money or whatever? One of those guys that did Rasputin's song. Right? Should we have somebody dressed up like he looks like he's part wilderness guy, part shaman, and an extra in a Viking movie? That's the people that are leading this? Well, they're on the hallowed grounds of democracy is still here. But it was under attack. Nah, not really. Democracy wasn't under attack. There were more issues with the way that politicians handled themselves that day and the days subsequently leading up to and after, with the perpetuation of an absolute false narrative about something being stolen that had issues with democracy, that I had issues with them under attack, than those people. Those people are idiots. Those people were cult followers of a person that they had replaced everything in the world and put him upon a pedestal. But the average person waking up today doesn't care. Today it's Thursday. Are my kids going to be in school today? Right? What's going on with this damn Omicron now? Is my work am I going to get an email tomorrow night saying I got to stay home starting next week and do everything I possibly can from the house? You got Chicago teachers going, you know what? We don't think we really want to work right now. We're going to stay home because, the things of, we got this, it's going to be fine. We're going to stay home because we voted. And, we got this. You guys good? Everybody prepared?
There was no preparation for remote learning. I didn't get a laptop for my children. So, no idea. We're just kind of winging it at this point.
Just kind of winging it. That sounds like a great education. Hey, kids, we're just going to wing it. Because these bureaucrats and union leaders want you guys to know at any given time watch out or else.
22 months ago, the world shut down. As you remember, schools went remote and parents stayed home to stop the spread. But now more people have gotten sick and died, and keeping kids out of school made their lives worse, not better, and has done nothing to stop COVID. Suicide attempts for teen girls shot up by 41% between 2019 and 2021. And the American Academy of Pediatrics has declared this is a national state of emergency.
Well, then, what kind of mask do I wear for that? The mask you wear for that is get the kids back in school. The thought process that you're going to keep kids out of school. Well, we don't have the teachers. All right, if you have a situation where you're not going to have teachers based on an absolute outbreak is one thing. If it's the worrying some that you might get sick or a kid might get sick, enough is enough. Period. Case closed.
So can I guarantee that a child or a staff member would not get COVID in school? I can't. Is the chance high that they would? It absolutely is not.
But how can that be? It's got to be. It's got to be super high. Look, every one of us has probably a date with this thing. Every single one of us. And whether it's Omicron or the coronavirus of another sort, or you may have already had it. Every single one of us has some sort of date with this thing. But when you listen to the people want certainty to 100%. It's like Australia going through the insanity of trying to bring it down to zero. Like, that's never happening. Now you can learn to live with this thing, through this thing, around this thing, or above this thing. But to make people continue to suffer, to play games with children and parents. And I keep reminding teachers, in particular unions and the bureaucrats out there that support them and the politicians, you're going to be asking these same parents, in some cases, several months from now, but over the next several years, to raise taxes, to do this or do that, and you're going to get a resounding from a lot of them. Last year, early on, somewhat understandable, trying to get a hold of certain things. People, out of an abundance of caution, did certain things. But businesses, schools, we've seen the adverse effect it's had on children. What did I say yesterday? The greatest currency in the world is time, because time is the only currency you can't get back. You don't get back tomorrow. This isn't Groundhog Day. And to play games with kids is asinine and stupid, because it has a domino effect when it comes to their parents. Then it has a domino effect when it comes to their work, which has a domino effect when it comes to other people's work. But they don't care.
Yet Chicago teachers ignore the stats and the science to peace out and let struggling kids and their desperate parents fend for themselves. 73% of Chicago teachers have voted to can in-class learning so they can sit on their butts at home in safety, because apparently they hate children.
It's Kennedy right there. I love it. They hate children. You hate kids. It's not very nice. You hate kids. Let me tell you something. It's insane. Just as much as there are people out there that are insane for the mask, wear 5 of them, or don't wear any of them. You guys are fighting the same damn ridiculous argument with one another and your fringe dwellers. And unfortunately, one of you uses an example of evil and bad. The other one used an example of stupid and scared. Enough. The rest of us, exhausted majority, get on board. We're going to take this back. We're going to do it the right way. But enough is enough. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. MyPillow gives you great deals, discounts. 50% off right now on the MyPillow mattress topper. 40% off on their incredible slippers that you can wear indoor, outdoor, absolutely comfortable. After I've played a very long day of golf, especially at home, I get my little, the moccasin style, the slip-on. I slip right on into them, just comfortable on my feet. And that mattress topper is amazing. Deep discounts across the board, no delays, made right here in the United States of America. Gotta like that. 60-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty. Grab these deep discounts right now. Go to MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Save big right now on all these amazing deals, including the MyPillow, the cheapest prices ever. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
I usually don't get into politics. As an ordinary suburban housewife, I feel a little disrespected. I teach my children not to name call.
You are a blabbermouth!
Come on, man. Guys, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum?
Chad Benson.
So imagine this. Spend all this money. This giant stadium. You open it up. Coronavirus is hit. This huge, beautiful SoFi Stadium. Arguably the most incredible stadium on the planet. Finally, you get to have fans there. But then all of a sudden, Omicron shows up. No! Now, reports are the Super Bowl may be moving already. Supposed to be in LA this year, but with the rise of Omicron, now what? Well, it's LA. LA's a little bit different, right? A little bit different. Now they're demanding and making new mask requirements that everybody must have medical grade masks. No longer is the cloth mask, because for those of you who are wearing a cloth mask, you do realize it doesn't work at all. Like, at all. And now with the rise of Florona, part of the twindemic, they're freaking out in California, as you should do if, well, you can raise money and keep yourself employed through fear, but you do have this big game at the Super Bowl. We can say that. We're not trying to make money off of it. My wife last night, she was doing something for the golf course, and she was like, I said, you can't use the word Super Bowl. I said, they're going to come and find you. Said they're worse than Marvin Gaye. That's a joke. For those of you who don't know, Marvin Gaye family sues everybody for any song ever, just in case it sounds like any song that Marvin Gaye did. What shall they do with thy Super Bowl? If only there was a state or two that maybe says, we're never shutting down.
The NFL has reached out to AT&T Stadium in Dallas to see if it could take the Super Bowl if the NFL needs to move the game out of L.A., according to our ABC News affiliate WFAA, citing Dallas Cowboys sources. They say the team and league are engaging in talks about Dallas serving as a backup city for the 2022 Super Bowl should rules here in California become a problem playing the game. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Thank you, Alex. That is hilarious. So they're going to move the Super Bowl potentially. And then you've got the Olympics, the Winter Olympics in Beijing, which is going to go forward. They're doing it. They're going to do the Olympics. That's not too far away. NBC must be stoked. They spent billions of dollars to get the Olympics. Billions of dollars. So you buy stuff like the Olympics in sports, and in some cases you make money off of it, but a lot of it is because you have all these other properties. So you use that as a loss leader. Meaning you own a major, if you're CBS, well, you're not just CBS, right? You're Viacom, Paramount, Universal, everybody. So you have all of these things that brings eyeballs to the channels so you can sell not just the products, all of your other stuff, which will sell products on top of products. But people don't go to movies, so you, if you're NBC, you spend all of this money on the Olympics, right? So now what? You're facing yet again another weird Olympics where they're going to be fans there, kind of, maybe. I mean, we don't know. Anything could change. It's going forward, and it's the Winter Olympics. There's no NHL players going at all. So that's like Nah, nobody cares. So now what? I don't know. I mean, it's just the Winter Olympics. China's going to roll out and have their, massive, huge, this is awe-inspiring. Look at what you can do when you could take away people's freedoms and force them to do things. What a great look this is. Look at these stadiums. They're beautiful. They were built by all volunteers? Yeah. Kind of like the soccer stadiums from Qatar. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Novak Djokovic isn't getting into Australia to play tennis, at least not at this moment in time. We have a bum that's a writer and doesn't like Aaron Rodgers. Talk a bit about that as well. A lot of other good stuff to get to, including, kids, we don't move around as much as we used to. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
2022, we still have crazies out there who are living in life in the world of insanity based only on the color of one's skin and how guilty they can feel about stuff.
It's that time again. Yep, it's racism still exists o'clock. I know, it's super weird because
By the way, I have a watch on. Two of them, actually. I have my Fitbit, which tells the time, but I don't really use it for that. And I have a watch on because I'm a watch guy. And I just want to let you know, I have looked on several occasions. I do not have that time setting on any of my watches.
It's that time again. Yep, it's racism still exists o'clock. I know, it's super weird because you held those signs and we went to those protests, and it's almost as if the systematic form of oppression that's existed since before this country was founded was going to take more than a year to dismantle. I'm going to start with a series on some of the characteristics of white supremacy, and I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to up. And I'm going to do that work because people who don't look like me don't get that choice to feel comfortable. So if you're willing to do that, come with me, like, follow. If you're not, you are so welcome to get the
So awesome. You mean holding up a sign by virtue signaled so amazingly? It doesn't work? No. Are you serious? It doesn't work? I mean, but I posted Black Lives Matter on my social media. What do you mean racism still exists? But I'm a good person, right? Because that's, at the end of the day, that's kind of what people care about. Like, they don't want racism to exist, most people, and there's some people that do, but at the end of the day, as long as you think they're okay, then they're good. The rest of it doesn't matter. I just love it. Oh, my goodness me. Those people are just, God bless them, they're misguided. You say there's not racism? Of course there's racism. Is it as prevalent as the people and purveyors of the race baiting market would have you believe? No. Well, that's a money grab. Let me tell you something, right? Like, these people don't come and give their time away for you. Nobody's volunteering to give speeches at colleges. They're not bringing you in and saying, hey, we're going to hire a chief diversity officer, and they're bringing somebody in who's going to give us a program to help us become more diverse, and they're doing it all from the kindness of their heart. They're not doing that. Not even close. Not even close to doing that. Again, racism exists. So does sexism. So does, being a Richard and an a-hole to just everybody. I mean, it's all stuff exists. But it's at what level does it exist? 2022, there are people that are still, they're worried about pronouns and they're worried about, like, once again, the average person. Today's January 6th. People sitting around going, If you didn't, you know what else it is today? It's Three Kings Day. It's Greek Orthodox Christmas. So if you've missed your chance to get me a present, there's still time. People are living their lives. But and why it matters is it's incrementalism. Right? It's that thing that we've talked about for years, about you put a frog in hot water, it jumps straight out. But you put it in cold water and you turn it up, it acclimates over time and acquiesces to the warmth, and and then all of a sudden, boom, by the time it becomes boiling and it's dangerous, it's too late. And why these kind of weird things matters, because these things land at your work. These situations. These things that you think, that's, you know what, they're worried about their pronouns, let people have their pronouns. Next thing you know, you've got 12 hours of a year that you have to go through in some sort of, course online you have to take, and then you get in trouble because you didn't use somebody's pronoun the right way, or somebody thought that you said, hey, you have nice shoes. I like those shoes are cool. And then you're in trouble. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's the incrementalism. It's the little by little by little. And then boom. But I listened to that. It's like, it's time to stop racism o'clock or whatever she said. You're like, what? You could follow along with me and be non-racist. It's the white person leading the charge. It's not very nice. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text said program. Yes, today is that day. A year ago today, a solemn day.
Solemn anniversary this week, and it is an anniversary of a violent terrorist attack on the Capitol, where we saw the men and women of law enforcement demonstrate incredible courage, incredible bravery, risk their lives to defend the men and women who serve in this Capitol. We are grateful for that courage. We appreciate the selfless sacrifice of the men and women who keep us safe.
Yeah. Solemn day. He's right about the men and women that were there, but there was chaos and craziness, and it was a nightmare, and democracy's not dead, and stop with the, oh my God, democracy's dead. It was a black eye. Let's not downplay it in the sense that it was a black eye. It's a black eye on the United States of America, a black eye and a bunch of idiots and really not a good look for the way that the last administration handled themselves at the end. A lot of the other chaos that went on, I'm not talking about that week or whatever, but like for the 4.5 years, 5 years that he was a part of the entire process to running into becoming the president, that was all lunacy. But, that's a black eye to his legacy. But oh God, what are we going to do? It's destroyed, hollowed ground. It's like the movie Highlander. Not here, Highlander. You can't fight on hollowed ground. It's like, settle down. Idiots and morons. And if you thought, right, if you thought that the Jacob Chansley, he's part bear, part Daniel Boone, all idiot, was going to lead the way, and that's the person you thought, well, that's a you problem. He's an idiot. He's going to jail. He's going to spend the next 4 years in jail. There are other things out there that we need to talk about. Other things that we should be paying attention to. Case in point. We don't get enough exercise. At least our kids don't. That's for damn sure.
Just 9% of teens are getting enough exercise during the COVID pandemic. That's the word in a new report. Researchers from the United States and Canada say the number has fallen significantly from the already paltry 16% getting enough exercise prior to COVID-19.
That's sad. So before COVID-19, it was 16%. And part of that is because we lead a sedentary lifestyle. Everything's planned. There's no more, You know, for all the planning of all the soccer I did and the training and stuff as a kid growing up, there was still a natural way about nothing was planned. If I wanted to train, I'd go to the park by myself and play. Why? Because I could ride my bike there. Now everything's planned. Part of that is the parents have over-parented their kids to the point where it's insane. You know, they schedule everything. I never once had a play date. You know, maybe when you're 2 or 1. But, you know, I remember Jack's mom go, we've scheduled a play. Who schedules play? Just go play. I got on my bike and I rode somewhere. And we would find out where everybody was as we were riding our bikes. I was like, oh, dude, everybody's over at Raymond's house. Why? Because there's 12 bikes in front of Raymond's house. And I recognized them all. Oh, cool. And you'd bring your 12 different, you know, sorry, I got my bat, I got a mitt. I brought, a soccer ball. We got a football already over there. I'm down for whatever, bro. I'm down for whatever play we're going to do. And part of riding the bike was the exercise. But we've also got screen time. That's through the roof.
Health experts say kids should get at least an hour of physical activity per day, but the pandemic era has increased the number of sedentary habits. The pandemic led to the cancellation of in-person physical education classes and organized sports, gym, and recreational facility closures, and rises in screen use, which all contributed to lower physical activity for teens.
Yeah, and how important is physical activity in general? Unvaccinated, unhealthy. If you told me you had to be one of the two, I'd rather be healthy and unvaccinated, because we're still seeing people who are unvaccinated and unhealthy die. I mean, unvaccinated and healthy die. Being healthy, 70 to 80% of the people that have died because of this nasty virus, the prevention wasn't just the vaccine, it was years of unhealthy lifestyle. Not for everybody, but for a vast majority. 70 to 80%. They diabetes, heart disease, obesity. I mean, you can go on and on, all brought on by that. And now we've got kids that are even less active.
Researchers discovered a link between less physical activity among teens and poorer mental health, higher levels of stress, and increased worrying about pandemic-related issues. Scientists say parents should encourage their children to move more and sit less.
Except for, again, there's a lot of parents out there that want to, well, you can only do it when we got to schedule it. No, just let your kids be kids. Goes back to being in school, all of those things. Let the kids be kids. Get them out there. Let them have fun. We should be encouraging people. Now, if this is not a wake-up call to get fit. And again, there's a different level of fit. I will never be 22 with a 30-inch waist playing soccer in Europe again kind of fit. It's not going to happen. Because that's all I did all day. I watched I don't think you realize that when you play something, when you do that kind of fitness level is for a fleeting time period. But you could drop 30 or 40 pounds. You can get a little bit fitter. You could stop smoking. You can just do all of these things, little steps that go a long way. And you think, well, I'm out of shape comparatively. Yeah, but you're much more fit and healthy. And nobody ever says, man, I worked out today. And outside of like rupturing an Achilles or something, it's like I went for a long swim and a long walk and man, I felt even worse. Like, who does that? No, it helps. And imagine what it does to your kids. This should be a wake-up call. But instead, our kids are sitting there. And the most stark thing about that report was it was only 16% who were physically active pre-pandemic. That should have been the other way around. It's like 85% of kids who got this kind of activity. It's now flipped. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program, wrap it up straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Me Too. Hashtag immigration reforms. Hashtag help. I'm trapped in a hashtag factory and I can't get out. The Chad Benson Show.
We must be absolutely clear about what is true and what is a lie. And here's the truth. The former President of the United States of America has created and spread a web of lies about the 2020 election.
Web of lies. Biden earlier today kind of went off with a thud. I think people got, the media in particular, they got excited about it. But at the end of the day, they come out there and they say stuff like, oh, democracy.
1 year ago today, in this sacred place, democracy was attacked. Simply attacked.
Really? What else? A little tickle in your throat there. Democracy is fine. We are fine. Nothing has changed. You're still president, by the way. And nobody rolled tanks in there and destroyed stuff. At the end of the day, it's a horrible stain on our amazing country, a black eye in our political world. But we move on. That's it. People have other things to worry about. They got other things they care about. And it's not that these things weren't important. It was a very stark and nasty moment. But that moment's past. And the one thing I've noticed, and the media does this, is to living in the past, man. I'm looking towards this year. How are we going to do better with kids? I look at my son and I think to myself, how's he going to improve? And what can I do to help facilitate that? Same thing with my stepdaughters, my daughter, right? How do I improve here? Because the opportunities are everywhere. We were talking earlier, right? So Cadillac's got a new car that is a prototype that they rolled out. This prototype is going to have like a love seat and it's going to be autonomous. That's insane. BMW debuted at CES. New paint, like smart paint. Smart paint that your car could be, right now they only have white, black, and gray. But eventually they'll have all the colors. So you buy your car and one day it's blue and the next day it's green. Like, where we're going is so awesome. And this year, we're going to have a situation where we're going to have another election. And unfortunately, I'm here to tell you, mark my words, January 6, 2022. There are going to be people that contest their losses in this election. There's going to be people that are going to perpetrate their own version of lies in this next election. And I'm not talking about the next presidential election. I'm talking about the Senate races and some of the governorships and your local school boards and for Congress. And that's the reality. And part of it's because it's big industry. We are so much more, though, than what took place on that day. And if democracy was under attack and it was that fragile to begin with, then it never stood a chance. But the last time I checked, it's been attacked with words and with violence long before this. It is continuing to be attacked day to day, not just here, but globally. But it's the people that hold it dear and that protect it, not just a building. Yeah, this year's going to be good. It's going to have some unique stuff. It's going to have some fun stuff. But we got to start looking forward on how we climb out of this mess and we unite again on the things that we agree on. Shouldn't be that hard, but we make it hard. Solid fun show. Got over the hump, got through this Thursday, so that means I see Friday. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.